Hey everyone, it's time for another podcast, Beyond the Boat Press. Today, Antonio and we're here with a good friend of ours from South Africa, Gerald. And Gerald is with Majestic Pursuit Safaris. And appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah,
coming on.
thanks, Brian. Yeah, we
Ger-
appreciate
Ger-
being on. Yeah,
well, we're glad to have you. You know, one thing about it, I think every bow hunter has always had the dream of going to Africa and hunting Africa. I think that's one thing that's always on everybody's bucket list. And so tonight should be a good conversation, kind of fill people in on what it's like, what they're missing if they haven't gone, and see what we can do about getting people back if they've been there before, I guess.
Nice.
So, Gerald, why don't you introduce yourself to us, kind of give us a little bit of history about yourself?
yeah, yeah. So I'm Gerald, and with Majestic Pursuit Safaris. Yes, I'm the owner of Majestic Pursuit Safaris. My wife and I, we both run the company. So yeah, just a little bit of history behind us. I originally come from Zimbabwe, so grew up there on a farm all my life, and then yeah, back in 2003, they took up arms from us, and then we ended up going to South Africa. And slowly but surely, we built ourselves up in South Africa. And I've been a guide now for probably about 10 years, just over 10 years, mainly bow hunting. And I think that's how I kind of made the connection and decided to build a relationship with you guys at Timber Mesa. Being a bow hunter myself, it's nice actually to connect with fellow bow hunters that understand it. And I think it's just a unique thing is getting close to the animals. And yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
pretty much,
it's definitely different than a rifle, that's for sure.
But a lot more
yeah,
connection with that animal.
yeah,
So now I know, we obviously we have guides here in the States, and sometimes some states it's easier to be a guide than others. Sometimes it's just 50 questions on $150 and you're a guide. Being a PH in South Africa is a little different from my understanding. Why don't you explain to us a little bit what a PH is and how you become a PH?
yeah. So obviously when you become a PH in South Africa, first of all, you get a study pack that you have to learn all our laws and everything. Probably a little bit similar in the US with the laws and that you have. Once you've got that study pack and learned all the laws, then you'll go to a PH school, which is a course that you do. And in that course, you actually skin the animal yourself. You have a certain amount of time that's got to be done in. And then you're judged on how it's done, how clean it's done, how well you've kept the animal out. And then you'll be scored on that. And then you also do a shooting test with dangerous game. So you have, I think it's 3 different targets that you're shooting at. Basically like a charging buffalo coming towards you. You have one just normal target out there that you're shooting just for accuracy. And then you have your charging buffalo to make sure that guides are prepared for when there is a dangerous situation, that they can make the shots and understand how to take the shots accordingly. It doesn't help that you shoot all 3 shots as fast as you can, but never hit the target. So it's actually very strategically how you're supposed to load and reload and take those shots. A lot of the time, one is so stressed out in an instant like that you pretty much want to just throw lead at it, and that's not the right way. So they teach you the right way. And actually, it's pretty simple. I mean, you pretty much get like a second or 2 in between, and I mean, when something's charging like that, you count actually with all the steps that it's taking towards you. You've got enough time to react. You don't want to shoot all 3 shots at 50 yards or whatever when the animal's still coming. Your best shot is normally at about 10 yards because you're most accurate at that. So yeah, that's the one thing.
And when you're talking dangerous game that's charging you
Yeah.
and you're shooting at 10 yards, we're talking lions and Cape Buffalo, correct?
Yes. Yeah, correct.
At 10 yards.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's not just the heart beating at 10 yards. There's a few different parts of your body that do weird things.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, so that's obviously one of the tests that you take. And then obviously judging the horns of the animals, probably one of the most important things. They'll have a setup of, let's say, impala, kudu, wildebeest, and a few different others. and hold them at a distance of maybe 40, 50 yards. And then you got to judge within an inch and a half pretty much of what the animal is to pass the test.
That's crazy.
And yeah, I mean, if you look at a kudu with spirals and that, you have to have a pretty good trained eye to be able to know the difference between a 50-inch and a 52-inch. So
No kidding.
it's pretty challenging. And then after you pass those tests, I think it's roughly about an 80% pass rate that you have to get on that to be able to pass. So it's pretty high. And then on your laws and that, that's the next step, that you write a test on all the laws. Obviously safety, shooting across roads or anything like that. So there's a few catch points in there. And then also on the animals, some of them you need to know scientific names, their normal name that they identified as we know them. And then also obviously all the birds, some of the trees too. So it's a pretty in-depth course that you have to take, that obviously prepares you for each and every client and what they want to know and how they want to do a hunt. Because obviously you get a lot of people that go in depth and have done a bit of research and know some of the animals, and you don't want to be caught not knowing what you're talking about, obviously. Yeah.
So when you go through the testing and you get all that done, and then you now are technically a PH, and for those listening, a PH is a professional hunter is what it stands for. That's what you guys call your guides over there, professional hunters, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So now you're out looking for a job, and you're trying to get on with somebody. What I've noticed in Africa is like the PHs kind of bounce around a lot. Sometimes they're with this outfitter, and next year they're with this outfitter, or they'll jump over to another outfitter. Is it hard to get on with an outfitter at that point in time? Or is there like an apprenticeship that you have to do?
Yeah, in the beginning, I would say, I mean, it is a little hard to get on with an outfitter, but I think as soon as an outfitter can see what you're worth, they'll book you up full for the season if they can, if they've got enough hunts, obviously, to do that. But it's tough to get an outfitter that can keep you busy for the whole year. But I think if you are a decent guide and know what you're doing, then I think you'll get booked up pretty easy. I don't think good guys or good guides actually struggle to get work at all.
Yeah, gotcha. That's same everywhere, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So hunting in South Africa, and I've been there now 3 times. And you say you're from Zimbabwe?
Yes.
Originally, is the hunting different in Zimbabwe than it is in South Africa? As far as, because South Africa is pretty much a high fenced area now.
Yes. Yeah.
Is Zimbabwe that way too, or is it more open plains, more open?
No, Zimbabwe is more open, no fences. So Zimbabwe is more, so it's government-owned land mainly, national parks where hunters will then get a quota. The PHs or the outfitter will get a quota on a concession that he can hunt, and then that's done every year. How many animals he's allowed to hunt in that area, that's all decided from the government with their research and everything that they do. South Africa is all private land, so it's up to the property owner to decide what quota is taken every year. And South Africa is mainly high fenced or low fence, where Zimbabwe is just no fence, pretty much.
Gotcha. Is there a lot of low fence in South Africa still?
There is, yes, especially in the southern part of South Africa, looking at like the Eastern Cape, certain parts of the Free State, certain parts of KwaZulu-Natal. There's still a lot of low fence around there. I'd probably say the most high fence would probably be in the Limpopo province, certain areas of KwaZulu-Natal. And actually a very interesting fact with the fences, a lot of people think the fences are there just to keep game in, and people are doing it just to manipulate genetics. Yes, that is, to a degree, it is true. But how fences actually started back in the day was with foot and mouth disease. So farmers were starting to put up just normal cattle fences so they could regulate their cattle in an area so that the disease wouldn't spread in between farms.
Hmm.
And that's how actually fences started in South Africa. And then from there, obviously, people saw that, listen, this is actually a good strategy. And this way we could maybe also keep game in and then improve genetics with time. And that's how fences actually started in South Africa. And it's a good thing, first of all, for poaching. It's harder, obviously, for poachers to get into a fenced place. And you can manage your game so much better in a fenced area.
Yeah. And we're not talking 200 acres of high fence. We're talking
No.
thousands of acres in a high fence
Yes.
area. Yeah, it's
Yes.
equivalent to like one
Yeah.
of our hunting units here in Arizona
Yes.
type thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's big tracts of land.
Big lot.
So
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
you know, and when my first trip over to South Africa, when Deanna and I went, it was more of a, hey, I've always wanted to go there. It's kind of a one and done. This is kind of scratching off our bucket list. And I remember, flying into Johannesburg, and driving out. It was like 3.5 hours to Limpopo, I think, about what it was for us.
Yeah.
And we're driving to all that farmland. I'm like, this sucks. This looks like home. This isn't like, what I had envisioned for South Africa to look like, And also
Yes.
kind of go through about an hour and a half into it, all of a sudden it completely changed. And then,
It changes fast.
I'm like, oh, here we go. And I was amazed at my first trip there. I was amazed at all the different variety of animals.
Yes.
At that first trip, we did a lot of ground blind hunting, and it was like, holy, what's that? And what's this? And what's that? And it's like, oh my gosh, stuff I didn't even know existed, like, different color phases of animals and things like that. And
Yes.
matter of fact, I remember my PH is like, we're killing animals, and he finally said, hey, are you having a good time or not? I'm like, yeah, I'm having a blast. He's like, you don't act like it. I go, I don't know what I'm shooting.
Yeah.
I don't know, size wise. To me, this is all foreign. I don't know if this is good, bad, or I don't have any idea what I'm doing. I'm having a good time, but
Yeah.
if it was a 400-inch bull or 200-inch buck out there, I'd be shaking like a leaf. But here, I don't. He's like, oh, that was a really good, wildebeest you just shot. I'm like, oh, okay, if you say so. Whatever you tell
Yeah.
me. But I had so much fun, and Deanna had so much fun. We got back. We're sitting in the Johannesburg airport getting ready to fly out, and I look over and I go, how quick can we get back here? And she goes, I was just thinking the same thing. And now it's like every 2 years we go back, and it's one of our favorite places to hunt. And I think that so many people want to talk about when they come into the shop and they see our animals, and the first thing, they don't want to talk about the antelope or the deer or the elk. They want to talk about the African animals on the wall. I mean, everybody kind of has this love, passion for Africa.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say actually the way that you explained and getting over there and shooting things and him asking you, are you having fun? I think that's probably the best way of doing it, so you don't have that buck fever really.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're probably making better shots and everything.
Well, what's funny is on my consecutive trips after that, now I kind of see, I know what a good sable looks like. I know what a good kudu is. Now, all of a sudden, now it's like the pressure's on now, and we get a little bit more excited. It changes pretty quick, because all of a sudden now I understand what the animals are, and I understand what the animal is that's coming in now, and it's a different ballgame. But that first trip, like, I didn't know. I was like, yeah, just tell me if I need to shoot it or not. I'm good. I have no idea what I'm looking at. But like I said, it's one of our most favorite places to hunt, and we love go to South Africa. And
yeah.
So you've been a guide for 10 years, and how long have you and Nadia been doing your own thing?
About 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know that we just talked today, and you said that like next year is pretty much booked up for you guys. So
yes. Yeah. We're
doing pretty well then.
Yes. We're very fortunate. I must say, all the clients that have hunted with us have either booked again and referred their friends to us. So yeah, that means that we're doing something right, and we're very grateful for that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think the main thing also about us, Brian, is just that tailor-made kind of hunt that we actually provide to clients. So we're not a sausage factory, if I can put it in so many words. We're giving more of a tailor-made hunt where people actually hunt with us ourselves, hunt with me as a guide. I'm always in camp. If it's a bigger group, then obviously we have other guides to assist them. And I think that makes all the differences. They don't feel like just another number in the company. They feel part of our family at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's one thing about it seems like all my trips south. It seems like everything happens around the campfire. You know, even there's a lodge, we always sit around the campfire at night, and that's where all the stories and all the BS and happens. And there's a lot of shit talking going on, and it's one of those. That's the way hunting should be, and that's I've been in stateside outfitters and gone to places back east where it's the guides aren't allowed to eat with the clients. They have to eat over here, and it's like South Africa is completely. It's like you're part of the family when you go to South Africa.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. I always say, we have a lot of clients that book a hunt and then it's only just two people who want to come over, husband and wife or something like that. And I always try to encourage them to bring an extra couple or something with, not just because it's financially better for us as a company, but they sit at the fire together and share those stories about how each one's hunt was that day, what they did. And that's what's memorable at the end of the day, is having that to be able to share with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about hunting and we're bow hunters. That's what we do. And I know there's rifle hunting. You and I have talked that you prefer bow hunters. That's kind of up your alley more. What is most of the hunting that you do? Is it mostly with blinds and tree stands and ground blinds and such?
Yeah, it is mostly ground blinds and tree stands. I would say that would be the most. A lot of pop-up blinds too, depending on the species that we're going for. So we hunt on a few different properties around our area too, depending on the species that we would like to go for. That's the nice thing about being a smaller company too, is also we can select kind of what areas that we want to hunt and where there is good trophy animals on the concessions that we hunt. So we do a lot of scouting in that too, for species that clients want to hunt. And that's why we always send a trophy wish list before clients come, is to get an idea of what they'd like to hunt. And obviously, so that we know what quota we have for the year, that we can make it happen for them. And then obviously some of the guys are hardcore spot and stalk guys. We don't shy them down at all. To me, that's a lot of fun. I love it. Obviously, one thing you need to know is you're going to be working hard. Our animals know what predators are, and obviously they see us as one of those predators too. Yeah. So they're very skittish. Their sense of hearing is amazing. Some of their eyesight is amazing. The smell is obviously one of their best senses that they have. So what's really fun, like where we are, so we're close to the Crocodile River. Hunting bushbuck, spot and stalk, I don't think there's much that beats that. It's a lot of.
And you're hunting them along the river, spot and stalk that way, huh? Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, like the bushbuck, they don't come into our waterholes because there's enough water for them, obviously, along the river. Being along the river, there's enough food for them down there, so they don't need to come up to where our waterholes or anything are. They just along that river eating all the good grass and leaves and everything along the river.
So why don't other animals stay down there then? Why do other animals come into the water and just the bushbuck stay down there?
So you'll get a lot of waterbuck along the river too. They like to travel along there. They like the wetlands. Some of the other animals, they don't like to be. They'll come down for a drink or something like that close to the river if they need one. But like your gemsbuck, wildebeest, those animals like drier land. They don't like to be in any mushy, cold, wet stuff. Yeah, that's kind of their habitat.
Yeah. What do you think is the hardest animal to bow hunt?
I'd probably say zebra. Zebra is one of the toughest animals to bow hunt. Yeah. Not just because they're smart and wary, but as soon as they come into a waterhole, they stack up like a bunch of sardines. And to get a shot in one of them is hard because they're always moving around, or the one that you really want to shoot is just behind the other one that's taking a drink of water. But one thing bow hunting for a long time that we've seen that works really well, and Brian, you'll probably hate me for saying this, but a rage on a zebra works great.
Oh my gosh. Okay, if you say so, I'm going to disagree.
Oh.
The only reason for this is a rage doesn't penetrate that far, so he's not.
You're not going through it?
Yes, that's the only reason. Yeah.
Okay, I'll
so
give
a
you
little
that
bit of
one then.
credit for age. That's the only credit we'll give them there.
I'll give you that one then.
Yeah.
When I
Backhanded
shot my,
compliment to Rage.
it's like a double-edged sword, I think, for Rage on that one.
There was,
For
yeah.
any
Yeah.
expandable, for that matter.
Oh,
I get that's funny. I know when I shot my zebra, I was like, my gosh, you know, I compared them to like turkey hunting, like a turkey with 4 legs, because turkeys are constantly on the move, you know, in and out of each other, stuff like that. And that's how the zebra was when I shot it. I was like,
Yeah.
man, they're just kind of everywhere, and it seems like that's always kind of the. And to be honest with you, every time we go on a group deal, I always tell somebody, please shoot a zebra day one, because that's, to me, that's my favorite meat, is the zebra meat.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's some of the best.
It is the best. And I'm telling you, when I shot my first one, the guys are like, oh, we're so excited. All the guys are like, we're going to eat zebra. Like, there's no way in hell I'm eating a horse. They're going to love it. I'm like, no, you better make me a cheese crisp, because I am not eating a horse. And they grilled up a little piece of meat and they handed it to me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so now every time we go back, they're like, please, somebody shoot a zebra the first day so we can eat on this thing for the rest of the week, because it's really my favorite. So
it's pretty funny, actually, like when we're doing the shows and that, and then people see a zebra hide on our floor of our booth or whatever, and they'll ask, hey, what does zebra taste like? And I always tell them, yeah, zebra is actually pretty amazing. Once you've had one, you're going to look at your neighbor's horse a lot differently.
well, Antonio, we're just talking about the wild horses, that we have a really wild horse problem here in Arizona.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, hey, if they taste like zebra, I'll shoot every one of them. I got no problem with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty good food. And one thing about it, people always ask me, what's the meat like? I don't think I've ever had anything bad in South Africa. I mean, from warthog to zebra to eland to sable, I mean, it's a complete different taste than what we're used to in the States, and it's the best.
Yeah. No, for sure. I must say, I've had deer meat and elk and everything in the US, and I would say our wild game has no gamey taste to it. Yeah,
none at all.
It's very, very good. I'd probably say the best and most tender game meat that you can get would probably be eland.
Yeah.
Yeah, second off of that might even be Cape buffalo. Buffalo is actually, it's very, very good and tender meat. Everybody thinks just because they're so tough and mean that it'll be tough meat too, obviously, but that's not the case.
Huh. Yeah, I would think this. Yeah, I would think the same thing that way.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about broadheads, and you know, we joke about the rage. So, you know, you and I have already had this conversation before, but
yeah,
I remember one of my trips I think it was my first trip to South Africa. I was remember I told, hey, they told me to bring a rage broadhead. I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm bringing a rage broadhead, and then like I said, I guess, you know, I'm sure hundreds of animals, if not thousands of animals, have been killed in Africa with a rage or an expandable. But what's your choice on a broadhead?
Well, it all depends. Like we've spoken before, Brian, it is poundage and kinetic energy, and all of that has a lot to do with it. It's not just selecting a broadhead and saying, hey, I'm going to go and shoot an animal. There's a lot more that goes into it than just that. First of all, I mean, what I've seen, like with kids and ladies that aren't shooting very high poundage on our animals, the best thing you can do is take a 2-blade broadhead or a 2-blade with small bleeders on, just to give you a little bit better blood trail and open up that wound a little bit better. But you get the best penetration with that.
Absolutely.
And obviously, ladies and kids aren't shooting far distances, and that's not our goal either when we're hunting. We don't really want to take shots actually further than 25 yards, really.
Even on spot and stock?
Spot and stalk, obviously, you'll have to take a little bit further than that. To get into a closer range than 25 yards, you're going to have to be very good and very quiet to get that right. Obviously, it is possible, and we have done it before, but it's not going to happen every time. I'd probably say spot and stalk, you need to be able to shoot up to about 50 yards. And also, once again, depending on the species that you're going for, like hunting Cape buffalo, I'm not going to let you shoot up to 50 yards on a Cape buffalo, especially with a 70-pound bow necessarily. I mean, it is doable with a good broadhead and the right position of the shot, but your risk is so much higher. Yeah, on species like the Cape buffalo, you want to get in at least to 25 to 35 yards maximum, so that you make sure you get in in the good vital area, that arrow penetrates like it should. Because at the end of the day, with any hunt, Brian, is my reputation is behind it. So a client puts a bad shot on an animal, it's me that still has to answer why that happened. Did I guide him right? Did I get him into the right distance? Did I tell him exactly where the shot placement is? Obviously, the client also has room for error on his side, but I need to make sure that my job is done the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Africa, you draw blood, you buy it. And
Yes.
let's be honest with it. Africa,
Yes.
you're paying for what you're shooting at. So
Yeah.
you better make
And
sure.
the worst thing for a guide, I mean, even an ad, but it's not nice to sell something to somebody or have to make them pay for something that they don't get. It's the worst feeling for us because I'd never want to send anybody home that doesn't get the animal that they want.
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, we can make all the promises in the world and say, if we do find it, we'll send it to you. But there's obviously so much against us. I mean, we have jackal out there, we have brown hyena out there, we have leopard out there that can eat your animal up, and we'll never know where it is. I mean, these properties are big, they're thick. We could look for vultures and that, but who knows that we'll actually find your carcass and be able to send you back your trophy, or even find the animal still alive and hopefully kill it for you and send you a trophy. I mean, it does happen that we can send it back, but it's not a guarantee.
Yeah, I've noticed on our last trips that we used to hunt with Kubis and Alana a lot, good friends of ours, and the effort that they put in trying to find a wounded animal, and it is amazing how much you guys. I think it's like you said, it's your reputation, but it's also that person. I think you guys genuinely don't want somebody to go home paying for something and not get it. It's and it happens. Yeah. I mean, it's happened on all of our trips with our group, somebody in our group, and
yeah.
And it's like, hey, what's the funniest thing is the tracking ability of the trackers and you guys. My first trip over there, I made a bad shot on a zebra, and it was shot in the morning, and we followed the track and the blood, and also we ran out. And it's to the point where I kind of got to they kept looking, kept doubling back and looking, and where I thought I was kind of getting played. I'm like, okay, they're just trying to give me the song and dance. It's kind of like say, hey, yeah, we're putting forth the effort, but we're not going to. I'm like, hey, I've been on enough blood trails in my life that I know we're done, guys. Okay, I bought this thing. I'm pissed off. Let's just move on and let's go get something else. And no, I think we can find it. And I'm like, whatever. I mean, hours into this thing, one of the trackers, I mean, way off. I heard him say blood. And I'm like, no way. And on a back side of a leaf, there's a tiny little. I had to put my binoculars upside down to look at it. And I'm like, holy shit, that is blood. And once we found that, they picked up this track. And they could see where he was dragging it. It was like, oh my gosh. And then they turned the dogs loose and said, okay, can you run? I'm like, yeah, I can run. Stay on this dog's ass. It was at that point in time, I just kind of said, okay, I trust anything you guys say.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys the effort because it's amazing watching the trackers track.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's one thing for sure is it's never nice to wound something. But it is truly amazing to be able to watch the tracking abilities of the guys that track for us and just watching the dogs work too. I mean, that's something special to see how those dogs know exactly what to do, how to keep that animal in a place for you to be able to get the next shot in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's cool. And the trackers, I don't know, we've always had a special relationship with the trackers. We always kind of get to know them, and they're some of the funnest guys. They're quiet a lot of times, but they're some of the funnest guys. Once you get to know them a little bit, start joking with them a little bit, we have a blast with the trackers. But they earn their keep, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they're very proud of their work. It's actually very special to see how seriously they take their work and how proud they are. In the beginning of the season, they can't wait for a hunt to start and begin just for them to carry on with their work. And you can really see how much they appreciate having clients come over and do these hunts and how much it means to their family too. It's a big livelihood that I think no other line of work, can I say, in the wildlife industry that brings in the money that hunters do bring in for us and how it sustains our businesses and keeps our people alive.
I've heard last time I was over there was talk about the government being harder to deal with the hunting and things like that. Is that true?
Yeah, so South Africa, it's all private. The government doesn't have too much to do with what goes on in the hunting industry. Obviously, they set the laws, they set the restrictions on what we can and what we can't hunt or ship out. Where that is different in like your Northern African countries like Zimbabwe and all the rest, the government is very, how can I say, part of the hunting businesses around there. They do get a percentage of the hunt. All the meat and everything goes directly to the villages around there. Yeah, there's government fees, obviously taxes and everything. So they have a big cut out of that portion out of a hunter's or an outfitter's money that they get from the hunters.
Gotcha. Yeah. One question I do have for you, and I've heard this in the last several years about guys coming over from Africa, and they like what you're doing right now. They're doing the show tour, they're booking hunts, things like that.
Yeah.
And then going back, and some guys are going to auctions and getting the animals that people have kind of booked that they know they're going to want to hunt right before the hunters get there, and putting them in to the concessions.
Yes.
And is that happening quite a bit down there now?
Yeah, unfortunately, Brian, in South Africa, it does happen quite a bit. Some of the bigger outfitters, I think, do buy a lot of animals just because, like I say, our outfit is smaller, and we can at least hunt on a bunch of different properties, and it's still sustainable. When you're running anywhere between 500 and 700 clients through your camp a year, I don't know how that becomes sustainable anymore with being able to just hunt on your property or properties in a close vicinity. I mean, you're talking about a couple of hundred kudu every year, a couple of hundred impala every year. I mean,
Just out of one outfitter.
exactly.
That's
And how
what I
many
was-
outfitters are we in South Africa? There's a lot of us, unfortunately. And yeah, I think where that all stems from is, I think the guiding process might need to get a little tougher so that there isn't the amount of guides that qualify in a year. It'll only be the best of the best that do qualify every year. Because the more guides you let through the system, obviously the more outfitters are then put into the system too in a few years. So it's not regulated enough. And this is actually, I mean, it's a problem that's been going on for years. And that's where the difference is between South Africa and Zimbabwe and your northern countries, is their guide process takes 3 years. Where ours is,
In the northern countries?
yeah.
Oh.
Yes. Where South Africa, you have your learning process where you get the paperwork beforehand, but then your course is 2 weeks. And if you pass your course, then you become a guide. And that's a problem, and I hope they fix it. I hope they make it into a course like the likes of Zimbabwe and that, because then you're only going to have guys that have either grown up on a farm and know wildlife that'll actually pass those courses because they've been doing it their whole life. It's their livelihood. They're not there just for the short run and making a quick buck out of it. So I think that's a very important thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you have to retest every year, or is it just kind of a once and done?
No, once you've done it once, it's once and done, and then you just have to renew your license every couple of years. And you have to stay in the business and do hunts to be able to renew your license. You have to have so many days every year of guiding to be able to renew your license.
Is there you guys have like a logbook that you guys have to keep?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
every hunt is written into that logbook, or your register, guiding register. Everything is logged into that, and then you have to submit those forms to be able to keep your license.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, just getting back to the put and take, and I mean it's a big problem that we see. The biggest one I think these days would probably be crocodile. You go to a lot
really?
of you go to a lot of these hunt auctions or shows and that, and you see guys with a cheap deal on a crocodile and it's so many feet to so many feet is this price, and this so many feet to this size is another price. And unfortunately, most of those things are grown in a smaller area and then let out into a bigger pond for you to go and shoot or something. And that's why our business model, I don't sell any crocodile in South Africa at the moment. Just because of that, I don't agree with hunting anything put and take. I agree with hunting things in the right manner with a fair chase. I mean, that's hunting at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if it just becomes a pet and pop, it's like and
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, there's probably people that would pay for it even if they knew that was happening, just because they
Yes.
want the trophy picture and the glory behind it, but it's
Yes.
not hunting at all. So
No,
it's just
no.
killing.
At the end of the day, I think you have to still have your values of how hunting is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, money still has to be made to be able to pay for properties and keep your staff alive and everything. But there's ways of making money too at the end of the day. If you do it the right way, I think you'll still go a lot further than trying to make a quick buck on stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your facilities. Do you guys have like a lodge that you guys have on the property
Yes.
with huts or something?
Yeah, so we have a lodge that's built out of brick, very nice, comfortable lodges with air conditioning in the rooms. And we have a dining area where you'll obviously meet then for breakfast, and they'd have breakfast in the mornings. So our operation, my wife actually makes all the food for us. So I always joke with people. I say we used to have an advertisement on TV where they'd pull this granny out of the cupboard when they needed her to make food, because grannies always make the best food. And I say I pull my wife out of there when we need breakfast and shut her back up again. I'll probably get a slap for this if she heard me right now.
Yeah, I can see Nadia slapping you right now. So,
yeah, our facilities are very nice. And then we have a good barbecue area too. When we get back from our hunt at night, you sit around the fire, have a nice drink, and then obviously enjoy a good supper.
Yeah, that's cool. So when people go over there, people always ask me, a lot of times when we've gone, we're always eating kind of the hunt before us. We're eating their food, their meat. And then is that how it works with you guys too? Kind of eating the
Yes.
from the group ahead of you?
Yes, yeah. Obviously for the first 2 days, pretty much, Brian, just so when you shoot something, we normally let it lay for about 2 days. The first day we'll take normally tenderloins out or something like that, and then lay it in buttermilk so it actually gets a little bit more tender, and it helps lose that gamey taste too. So normally about 2 days before we start serving the meats of the animals that you've hunted there.
Yeah. I just had a question and it slipped my mind on the food. Can't think of it now. So when we can't, people always ask me, do you get to bring the meat back with you? And obviously we can't.
Yeah.
I think that was an Obama thing or something back in the day that we can't bring it
Yeah,
back.
USDA I think it's a good thing to a degree, because you don't know how well it would be inspected leaving the country, and that just for viruses or anything to get into the US. Yeah.
So what do you do? I mean, obviously you can't eat all the meat. Are you donating the meat?
Yes, yeah. So we donate to churches and children's homes in our area, and then we also allow to sell meats in South Africa. So there is a meat trade in South Africa, and the good thing with that, when we do sell our meat, then it also brings a little bit of finances so that we can do better upkeep on our properties, and obviously helps with the feed and whatever else we need to do to look after our animals.
In South Africa, are the restaurants serving wild game?
There is some restaurants that do, actually more your higher end restaurants. They sell wild game, and then there's a big local market that actually buys a lot of wild game, obviously because it's a cheaper source of protein for them. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's hear a story of your worst hunt with a client. You don't have to give any names, but I know you've got them, so I want to hear one.
Yeah. Well, I think probably one of the worst ones would probably be an elderly gentleman.
Oh man, he's coming for you, Brian.
It's pretty funny, pretty gruesome, but yeah, it was probably one of the worst hunts. So we were actually hunting zebra, one of the toughest animals for us to find. We've been sitting for a couple of days trying to get one to come in. And I go to this one concession where I kind of know they're coming in on clockwork to this waterhole. And normally roughly about 3 o'clock, that's when they were coming into this waterhole. And we're sitting in this pop-up blind, and it was like, I'd say, I think it was like late September, so it was starting to get warm already that time of the year. We're sitting in this blind, and it's him and his wife, and he starts to fidget around there. And I tell him, listen, we need to keep quiet. We've been hunting these things for a while now, and this is our only chance that we're going to get. And he sits still for a little while, and time goes by, and it's probably like 20 minutes before these zebras start coming, and he starts fidgeting again, and I see him sweating in that. I'm like, I mean, it's hot, but it's not that hot. And all of a sudden, I see he takes off his shirt, and I'm like, is there something wrong? And I just keep quiet and told him, sit still. And I see the zebra, man, probably about 150 yards coming down this road out of the window. And it wasn't probably 10, 15 seconds. The chairs go flying in that blind. Little did I know he had an upset stomach and he had to get out of there. So he zips this blind door open and he takes a dump. I could hear him. It was terrible. Anyway, so his wife is there, and I mean, there's the hunt pretty much gone. That's our last chance at these zebra. So I tell his wife I'm going to go and get the tracker because I try to call him on the radio, and obviously the radios weren't working for some or other reason. And as I stick my head out the blind, his butt is in my face. He took a dump right by the door. It was terrible. Anyways. So I go down the road, try and look for my tracker where I told him to stand, and he wasn't there. He decided to go somewhere else. So after about a 4-mile walk trying to find my tracker, I finally got him and came back. We packed up and everything and went back to camp another hour, get back to camp from that hunt. But it was such a bust, and yeah, unfortunately that never worked out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's it. How do you go back to the States and say, hey, why did you not get a zebra? Yeah, let me tell you the story.
Yeah, the worst is when you actually see those clients at a show and they make as if nothing happened, but all you can imagine is that bum in your face. Yeah.
What's your favorite animal to guide for?
You know, I'd probably say in South Africa, probably be a buffalo.
Buffalo.
I've gained a lot of respect for them. Yeah, I don't think you can ever have enough respect for them. I mean, you get some of them that you shoot with a bow that goes down 40, 50 yards. And, I mean, the hunt's over. And then you get some buffalo, then you can put as much lead into them as you want to, and they still just don't want to go down. It's probably one of the toughest animals to hunt, and especially with a bow when you're doing a spot and stalk, trying to get in close to them. They have an extremely good sense of smell, and buffalo are normally herd animals, so trying to get into a shooting distance, it's really tough, and knowing that those animals, if they do see you and you're in their path, that they can kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's on my butt. That's the thing. I've had this conversation. It's in my blood now. And I gotta cure this itch. So
yeah,
that's my thing. When people come over and you book a hunt, I guess obviously you don't know what kind of a hunter this person is at a show.
Yes.
And then they get to camp and you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be some work on this one. I imagine that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, no, it does happen a lot. I'd probably say compound bow hunters, not so much. But when you get a guy in with a longbow or a stick bow, then you kind of know we're going to be tracking on this one. Yeah. And I must say, I actually have a lot of respect for those guys hunting with a longbow or a recurve, because I mean, they're coming halfway across the world knowing that I might wound it, I might not find it, I might even miss it and not get the opportunity again. It's a big
Yeah.
risk to take, and they're
Yeah, it
willing
could
to
be a very
take that.
expensive trip.
Yes, exactly. So we always do our the best to be able to make sure that those guys are successful, getting them into reasonable shot distances so they make the best shot that they can.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know our 2 trips ago, a guy that went with us, he took his recurve with him. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, man. He's like, oh, no, I really want to kill some stuff. And so we get there, and he changed his tune pretty quick. After about the first day, he's like, yeah, I don't think I'm bringing it out. I'm gonna shoot the compound bow. I'm like, that's probably a smart decision.
Yeah. I've actually, I must say, I've had 1 or 2 guys that have been phenomenal. I think they maybe wounded 1 animal, and it wasn't that bad of a shot. We still found the animals, but everything else, perfect shots. I think it all just goes back to practice and that muscle
Yeah.
memory at the end of the day, getting in those shots. Don't think you're going to come to Africa and shoot a recurve and you've only probably shot it the last month just before you went over.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, even with compound bow, I was shocked at how many guys would come to South for it's a pretty major hunt, a once in a lifetime type hunt for some people with some
Yeah.
pretty damn crappy equipment that you're
Yeah.
like, really, you're bringing a 1996 Mach 1 to Africa after all this time to shoot it. It's like you spent all this money, you could have upgraded your bow a little bit. I'm shocked at how the crappy equipment the guys bring and crappy
Yeah.
broadheads.
Yeah.
Walmart broadheads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure. That's one thing. I mean, going on any paid for trip, I mean, do the extra, but get yourself a decent bow that at least has a little bit faster shooting speed. And obviously, broadheads and arrows are key to that too. Make sure your arrows on that fly true. Make sure that your arrow weights are good and balanced. That's the most important thing. The last thing you want to do is fling an arrow and it doesn't go exactly where you're supposed to be putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, it's just not shooting a whitetail out of a tree stand at 15 yards.
That's
Yeah.
It's a little bit more involved in it, a lot bigger
Yeah.
animal.
Yeah. And then I think the most important part, Brian, when people do come over to Africa is knowing the vitals where they sit with African
Yeah.
animals. That's the most important part. Study it and even put targets up at home and making sure that you get that eye muscle memory focused on shooting forward, because you guys are so used to hunting whitetail deer or elk and that where you shoot behind the shoulder. And when you shoot our animals behind the shoulder, you're going to shoot it in the guts. And that's just got to do with like eye brain muscle memory, because you're so used to doing that. When you
Yeah.
have that adrenaline and everything going, you're in the moment.
Yeah,
and
it's
what
natural.
do? You bring the bow behind the shoulder.
Yeah.
So you need to practice that on the right spot.
And I think that's the hardest thing was teaching people and showing people, and even myself, but even having groups. We'd have every time we take a group to Africa, we have these little meetings and stuff like that. We shoot in the range, we go through their equipment, but we
Yeah.
also have, I have a list of all the animals and their vitals, and I email it to all of them and was like, hey, get used to this because it's completely opposite of what you've been told for the last 20 years. You got
Yeah.
to shoot them in the shoulder,
Yeah.
and they just can't do it. It's like, it's crazy. You get ingrained, behind the shoulder, behind the shoulder, behind the shoulder. All of a sudden now you got your adrenaline's pumping. You got a big kudu in front of you. You're like, and what do? You put it right in the crease and let her rip. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously getting back to like Cape Buffalo, when you're hunting them, so their rib structure overlaps. And a lot of guys think, man, I can have a heavy arrow weight and I'm just going to shoot it with a 3-blade broadhead. You're not ever going to get the penetration that you're supposed to. I mean, how do you think you're going to push a 3-blade broadhead through overlapping ribs? That just doesn't work. So yeah, get a good heavy 200, 250 grain broadhead that will slice through and make its way through the ribs. And then obviously there again with buffalo, arrow weight is very, very key. What I've seen in my knowledge, the weights that work the best, if you're looking at kinetic energy and speed and everything, I think the happy medium for me is around 750 grains total weight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was funny when I was setting up my buffalo bow to go over last time. I was doing the kinetic energy numbers, And really, the kinetic energy off of my speed arrow was within 3 pounds of kinetic energy with my almost 800 grain arrow. I'm like, why do I want to do this? Why not just shoot the faster is better? The problem that people don't understand is that downrange kinetic energy as that bow's losing feet per second, it's losing kinetic energy, and then not having the momentum to penetrate into the body cavity. It's one thing to hit it; it's another thing to penetrate it.
Yes.
I've been doing it for the whole last week and a half. I've been working on broadhead testing to do a seminar this weekend, and it's crazy. We start doing the numbers where momentum comes into play more than the kinetic energy and even feet per second. You need to be able to not only hit it, you need to be able to pass through it. So I think a lot of people, I've heard guys say, well, just take whatever you shoot, everyday thing. Well, what you shoot whitetails with and mule deer is not going to work all the time, especially on Cape Buffalo or even something like giraffes and things like that. Even these bigger animals.
Yeah, a lot of people, think Cape Buffalo is the only one. A giraffe has got thicker skin than a Cape Buffalo. You wouldn't think so. But trying to get an arrow through a giraffe, it's not an easy task.
Yeah. Is it more of my understanding, you want to shoot them more in the front?
Yes, frontal is always the best shot that you can. So you get the two knobs on the front of the shoulders. So basically, straight line in between the two knobs there, that's the best spot. There's no bone or anything there. You're pretty much going straight through the skin. You get the best penetration right there. Yeah.
When you're going around to shows, do you have people that look at the giraffes or the zebras and kind of go, no, I can never kill one of those things?
Yeah, no, of course. You get a lot of that. It's a pretty animal, and it's a pretty animal to us as guides and outfitters too, Brian. We love them just as much as people that love them alive, but at the end of the day, it's still conservation. You can't just let them breed. What's going to take down giraffe on our properties? There's not very much. And zebra breed at a rate that, rabbits can't really keep up to. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, that's a big thing. So just the populations, to keep them in check and trying to educate people. I think that's the biggest problem these days with even the anti-hunters. I don't think us as hunters really have anything against them. I think they're just not educated enough about how life works and how animals work and how they breed and what they eat and all of that. We have an instance in a park close to us where the elephant about 1.5 years ago were dying of hunger because they were overpopulated. They'd eaten all the trees up and we weren't allowed to hunt them. If they were sustainably hunted, then there would be a good population, first of all. All the revenue coming from those hunts would get pushed back into the park to have better upkeep that any photographer could ever try and do. Per hunter, the data is already there to show that how much hunters bring in compared to normal photography, people driving around in a Jeep and looking at the animals. It's good to have that kind of revenue too, but unfortunately, the hunters bring in so much more.
Well, and if it wasn't for those hunters, there would be nothing to photography anyways, to photos.
Yes,
so it's like they don't understand that part of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. If we didn't have the hunters and that, especially in South Africa with all the private land, if we didn't have hunters, farmers wouldn't look after game, first of all, because it's not profitable for them. The next thing they're going to do is look at cattle or whatever else they can to be able to pay for their properties and keep their staff and everybody going. And if that didn't work out, even on government areas that are not looked after, where there is no anti-poaching teams and that the poaching is terrible, there's no more animals left in those areas. And that's the good thing about the Northern African countries have started to see that. Where there's hunting and conservation has been done sustainably, the animals that are being hunted are only trophy animals and old animals. That's the main thing that, conservation is all about, is shooting the old animals. Don't shoot your young livestock that are going to grow up. Shoot the older stuff. And that's how those people are able to pay the anti-poaching teams to look after the wildlife in those areas. And that's how the government gives the quotas, because the animals are being looked after. I know I can talk firsthand, like when we were chased out of Zimbabwe, we had a lot of game even on our farms that we had there. There was a lot of kudu and steenbok and all that stuff. And as soon as they chased us out, the people ate all the game. There's nothing left because it's not sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah, management's everything. So
Yes.
Absolutely. And then the anti-hunters just don't. Even here in the States, we fight that. They don't understand that the more we encroach, the more management we need to do. And I think we try to help out where we can and educate people. But a lot of times their minds. I get it. You look at bears and things like that. People think of Yogi the Bear and Big Ben the Bear on TV, and so you could never kill it. But they don't understand that. I've always said I'd rather have my grandchildren to be able to go out there and see these same animals if they don't want to hunt them.
Yes.
But I'm doing my part by hunting them so they can see them in future generations. So
that's very true. Yeah, and the same thing is, I look at a bear, and honestly, I have no ambition to want to shoot myself because it looks like Yogi Bear and all of that stuff to me. Because obviously we didn't grow up with those animals in our area. We don't know actually how aggressive they really are and whatnot. For me, it's a beautiful animal. I have no ambition to want to shoot one, but I have nothing against anybody that does want to hunt them. I think, and that's how we should all be with all wildlife out there. If somebody wants to hunt it in a sustainable way, then so be it. It's conservation. Absolutely. That's the main thing.
What should a hunter out there be looking out for? What kind of dangers are out there, snake-wise or predator-wise?
Well, yeah, I don't think we should really get started on this because we might not have any clients come over. Well, everything in Africa wants to kill you or eat you or sting you or whatever is pretty much the saying out there. What in the hunting season, and that's kind of how we have our hunting season, would be in the winter months. So most of our snakes, luckily, are hibernating that time of the year, but obviously you still need to keep an eye out. We do have very, very dangerous snakes out, especially in our area. We have black mamba, cobras. I just told you, Brian, my hunting dog was taken by a python just 2 days ago in our backyard. It's just, I've never heard about it happen before in our area, and unfortunately, it's one of those things in life. But yeah, the snakes are pretty bad. Scorpions, we do have some pretty dangerous scorpions, so don't be picking up pieces of wood and trying to look under there if you can find a diamond or not. I promise you, we don't have diamonds that shallow. Yeah. And then obviously the game, if there's buffalo in the area, make sure the guide has a gun and make sure that you are looking around. They are unpredictable animals and they can come at any time. We had an incident last year in our area where a guy was hunting actually blue wildebeest, and the guy wounded a blue wildebeest, and they were on a blood trail, and the buffalo smelled that blood and came after the guy and attacked him, and yeah, he was in hospital for a while. So those are things to look out for. Other than that, not too much.
Not other than everything, not too much.
Everything else.
Deanna last year shot a sable, and we thought she made a great hit on it. She only ended up getting one long, but we ended up tracking that thing for a couple of days. And I was helping the trackers out, and I'd walk out of that bush and I would be ripped up. My clothing was ripped up. I was scratched up and cut up, and it's like the thorns that some of that stuff has is crazy long. And, but and I'm not a snake guy. You and I have had conversations, and Antonio knows I don't do snakes.
I don't know if we should really hunt together because I don't know what we're gonna do if a snake is in the blind with us. I don't know who's gonna knock open the door first to get out, or who's gonna be pulling the other one in to stay with the snake.
I'm coming out first. I promise you, one way or the other, I'm coming out first.
I think you'll win. You're a little bigger guy than I am, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
I don't do things. Luckily, that, like you said, luckily they're hibernating at that time. Because if it was summertime, you would never see me in Africa. I was going to come. So, well, anything else, Antonio?
I think that covers what I had. I appreciate you coming on, Gerald.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to share, Gerald, that we haven't covered that people need to know?
No, I think, Brian, the only thing is obviously I would say that people should know is flights, and that obviously that's a very important thing about coming to Africa is...
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Yes, that's a very...
Should we talk about the airline flight to Africa?
Yeah.
No, we
Yeah,
haven't
it
spoken
sucks.
about that. Yeah, it does. It does suck, eh? But there's nothing that a
That's
sleeping
it.
pill and a glass of wine can knock you out with, eh? They say you shouldn't shouldn't mix alcohol and pills, but I must say that mix really works well for me. I mean, it's a long flight, but
That is the worst flight ever. It's
yeah,
awful. And it's
yeah,
like, gosh, damn. It's like, and luckily we took this last group over there and we were all getting back on the plane to fly back. And it was like one thing these people have never done it before. They didn't anticipate what it was like on the trip over. They learned about halfway through how bad it sucked. But on the way back, they knew what they were in for. And
yeah,
it was like, you could just see it on their faces, like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be awful. And it was. There's nothing worse than that plane ride.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, that plane ride is pretty bad. But just, I think advice would probably be just looking what flights you can get like out of Atlanta, rather having a direct flight than going through a couple of stopovers and that, especially if you do have archery equipment or any rifles or anything like that with you coming over to Africa. The more stops you have, the easier it is to lose your luggage. So
Yeah.
a direct flight either from New York or Atlanta, that's your best flights, normally straight into Johannesburg. And then I think also a very important thing is ask your outfitter to. There is ways of having somebody meet you just as you get off the plane and take you to your luggage or to your weapons, and that just having that help, because we as outfitters, we're not allowed in that area of the airport. It's not like the
Yeah.
US where you pick up your bags and somebody can actually meet you right at your bags. We're not allowed to go into that area. It's only for designated people. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's I think it's something like $125 to $150 for that service. I think just taking that piece or getting that peace of mind and the worry away, it's worth the money sometimes, especially in a foreign country that you don't know.
Oh, for
Well, that's
sure.
one of the things that now that Deanna and I've done it so many times now, when we take our group, we travel together. We're all in a group the whole time, and we can kind
Yes.
of take here's what's going to happen. Get ready for this. Have this ready. Be ready, and we can prepare them for that because it makes. I remember our first trip. We used some points, and I'll tell you right now, don't ever use your points. So we ended up flying to like New York, from New York to Qatar. We missed our plane in Qatar. Had to spend the night in Qatar and then fly out from there to South. I mean, it was an absolute freaking nightmare. And then
Yeah, that is
we
terrible.
learned real quick that hey, we're going to Atlanta and then right into Joburg. So
Yeah, and the worst thing is getting in Joburg, and you've got $10,000 or $20,000 hunt that you're looking forward to, and none of your equipment gets
Yeah.
there in time.
Shows up.
There's
Oh.
nothing
Yeah.
that worries you as much as that.
every time I ever travel with archery equipment, I don't care if my suitcase makes it. Just as long as my bow makes it. That's all I care. The rest of it, I'll do with it. But
Yeah,
please let my bow be there. That's what I always worried about. So
yeah.
yeah, it's the plane flight, the plane ride, worst thing ever. I mean,
How
there's
long
nothing
is
even-
that plane ride?
It's
Yeah. About 14 and a half, 15 hours, depending on the tailwind that you get
from Atlanta to
Yeah, from-
that's not counting from here, like Arizona to Atlanta.
No.
Yeah, it's literally like a 20-hour flight, 22-hour flight for us, nonstop,
Yeah.
total airplane time.
Yes, yeah.
It sucks. It's
That's
awful.
terrible.
And when you're as tall as I am on an airplane,
See, I don't
That's
have
even
that
worse.
problem. I'm
oh,
pretty
it's
short.
awful.
Yeah, that's when you walk past the guys in first class with puppy eyes and you're like, man, don't you want to really switch seats with me?
Yeah. No kidding. Their beds are all laid out. They're sleeping nice and comfortable. Yeah, it sucks. Well, man, we sure appreciate you coming on, dude.
Yeah.
How do people find you? Give us our information where we can reach out to you and people want to talk to you.
Yeah, so we have our website, obviously, Majestic Pursuit Safaris, and then obviously with you, Brian, we have some of our brochures in your shop too. If they wanted to reach out to you, they can do that. And then, on our website, they can reach out on our email address and ask for even my cell phone number. They're more than welcome to even contact me for a more in-person conversation. I like to do that. To me, email and that is a lot. It's very formal. Obviously, it's good for getting everything on track for your trip and that. If you have just small questions like stuff that we've talked about, broadheads and what to expect and all that kind of stuff, a lot of the time on a phone call, it's a lot easier to go over those topics and answer all the questions in a shorter time.
Are you guys on social media at all? Instagram, Facebook?
Yes. Yeah, we on Facebook and Instagram too. So they can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. So
Sweet.
yeah, we'd appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. I got to meet you a year ago, and we just kind of hit it off. And talking to you and Nadia, it's like talking to old friends. So we look forward to
Cool.
coming over and visiting with you guys sometime. And
Yeah, we appreciate it.
we'll definitely stay in touch.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Well, guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. If you guys like that, please subscribe. If you need anything, let us know. Other than that, we're going to have a good night and see you guys later.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank
All
you.
right.